stand amazed in the presence of Jesus the Nazarene, and wonder how he could love me, a sinner condemned unclean. I stand amazed in the presence of Jesus the Nazarene, and wonder how he could love me, a sinner condemned unclean. We're singing how marvelous, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. He took my sins and my sorrows, he made them his very own. He bore the burden to Calvary and suffered and died for me. We're singing how marvelous, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. We're singing how marvelous, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. When with the ransomed in glory, his face I at last shall see. This will be my joy through the ages, to sing of his love for me. When with the ransomed, when with the ransomed in glory, his face I at last shall see. It will be my joy through the ages, to sing of his love for me. And we're singing how marvelous, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. And we're singing how marvelous, how wonderful, and my song will ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. I believe he is the Son of God. And I believe he died and rose again. And I believe he paid for us all. And I believe he's here now, standing in our midst, here with the power to heal and the grace to forgive. And I believe in Jesus, and I believe he is the Son of God. And I believe he died and rose again. And I believe he paid for us all. And I believe he's here now, standing in our midst, here with the power to heal now and the grace to forgive. And I believe in you, Lord. I believe you are the Son of God. And I believe you died and rose again. And I believe you paid for us all. And I believe you're here now. You're standing in our midst, here with the power to heal now and the grace to forgive. 'Cause I believe in you, Lord. I believe you are the Son of God. I believe you died and rose again. I believe you paid for our soul. And I believe you're here now, standing in our midst, here with the power to heal and the grace to forgive. And I believe you're here now, standing in our midst, here with the power to heal now and the grace to forgive. find peace, makes me whole. And I love your presence. And I love your presence. And I love you, Jesus. And I love your presence. In the glory of your presence, I find rest for my soul. And in the depths of your love, I find peace, makes me whole. And I love your presence. And I love your presence. And I love you, Jesus. And I love and I love your presence. And I love your presence. And I love your presence. And I love you, Jesus. And I love your presence. And I love your presence. I love your presence. I love you, Jesus. And I love your presence. Yes, Jesus, we just invite your presence this morning. And we just find rest in your presence this morning. And we find peace that surpasses all understanding. Yeah, thank you, Lord. Holy Spirit, come. Thank you for your love. We thank you for your kindness. We thank you that you are not a distant God. You are with us. You are for us. So we give you this morning. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Thanks, Prit and Tee. That was really great. Good morning. My name's Cathryn. Welcome to Hemel Vineyard Church. If you've just joined us on Facebook this morning, we're really glad to have you with us. And we hope you've had a really good week and been able to enjoy the lovely weather, and whether that's been at home or out, or whether you've been at work, but maybe hopefully you've got some glimpses of the beautiful sunshine that we've had this week. So I'm going to be speaking to you for the next 10-15 minutes. And the last few months, we've been looking at the book of Luke each Sunday morning, and picking episodes out of what Luke tells us about Jesus, and really trying to dig into them and see what is going on in those passages. And last week, James spoke to us on what did Jesus mean when he said that we should take up our cross and follow him. And that's in chapter 9. We're going to move into chapter 10 today. But I really want to encourage you, if you've never read the book of Luke, and you can just read it from beginning to end, as you would a novel, that I would really encourage you to do that, because we're missing out lots of really great things that we just haven't got time to look at. But it would be really, really great if you had time to just sit and with a cup of tea and read through the Gospel of Luke, read everything that he tells us about Jesus, all of those things that we haven't got time to look at on Sunday mornings, but have got so much in them that you'll really, really enjoy. So just want to encourage you to do that. So this morning we are going to read from Luke chapter 10, verse 38 to 42, and it's at the home of Martha and Mary. So I'm going to read it to us now, and then we'll dig in. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." So perhaps this is a familiar passage to you, and maybe you've read it lots of times, and maybe you've heard it spoken on lots of times. And it's one that we talk about a lot, but it's always such a great one to come back to for the message that it gives us. So as we've read through Luke, we see Jesus in lots of different places. We very often see him outside. So he's teaching on hillsides where he's feeding the 5,000, or he's on the edge of Lake Galilee on the shore, or he's in a boat with the disciples or with fishermen. And we see him on the road where he meets lepers and he heals them, and we see him go into the temple. But we also see lots of times where he is in people's homes. And so Zacchaeus has a feast for Jesus and hosts a feast for Jesus in his home. When the friends brought the paralytic man to be healed to Jesus, the people whose house Jesus was in ended up with a hole in their roof because people were so desperate to get to Jesus that they broke the roof down. That would have been a story to tell. And in this story, Mary and Martha are in their home, and Jesus comes in to their home. So Martha here is the homeowner. It's her house. We assume it's quite a big house because she is able to welcome in Jesus, and he would have had his disciples with him, so that's another 10 people, and they most likely probably would have had some other people traveling with them as well. So she's got a big group of people that she's said can come into her house, and she's really welcoming them in, and she's not just saying come into my house and have a cup of tea. This would have been a real invitation to receive hospitality, to have food, to stay a long time, to perhaps to stay overnight in guest rooms and things like that. So Martha is really opening up her home to Jesus. And we have all had a really good look inside, or not really good look, but a little glimpse inside each other's homes when we meet on Zoom, which we do just before this bit on Facebook. And you get to see little glimpses of where people live. And we played a silly game where we had some photographs of corners of different people's homes, of famous people's, and you had to try and match up which family or which famous person it was with the little glimpse of their lounge from the hints in the picture. And usually we would meet in another venue, and we would go to church, and we would perhaps sing in some worship and really want to meet with God in his presence at that time. Or we might go to Connect Group, or we might go to an event where we gather together as a church. But at the moment, most of that is going to happen still in our homes for a good while longer. And I want to ask us all a really simple question, and that's, like Martha, have we welcomed Jesus into our home, into our house? She opens up her house and she says, you can come on in and I will take care of you and you are welcome here. And we are spending a lot more time in our homes perhaps than we ever have done. And if you've never prayed and just said, Jesus, you are so welcome in my home, please will you come in and be a part of what happens here, be a part of where I do my work at home? Will you be a part of me homeschooling my kids? Will you be a part of our arguments? Will you be a part of our joys and our sorrows? We want you to be a part of what happens here and want your presence in our home. I just want to encourage you that would be a really, really great prayer to pray today, is to just invite Jesus into your home and what happens there. The Bible also often uses a house as a metaphor for our lives and ourselves. We looked at the story of the wise and the foolish builders a few weeks ago, where Jesus really uses that metaphor of the house and building the house as a metaphor for us in our lives and what we will build our lives on. In Revelation, which is the last book in the Bible, in Revelation 3, Jesus says this, he says, "Here I am, I stand at the door and I knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with them and they with me." And this is a really, really exciting thing, that Jesus, he knocks on the door, he doesn't barge in. He waits for us to invite him in, just like Martha invited him into her home. And he makes that invitation to us today. So I just want to say to you, if there are any of you watching who have never really said to Jesus, I want you to come in to my life, into the house of my life, then this would be a great day to do that. He is standing at the door and knocking and wanting to come and be with you. But here in this story, if we go back to it, we see that Martha, although she welcomes Jesus and his friends into her house, she immediately then is distracted and she goes off to make preparations for their stay. We imagine she's getting food ready, she's sorting out sleeping arrangements, she's cleaning the bathrooms, she's stocking the cupboards from Tesco's and sending people out for all sorts of things. And I wonder if you've ever felt distracted by all the urgent things that you have to do. I know that I do. There's always something else waiting to be done. And we can often get into this mindset of, oh, but I really have to do that, or I really have to do that first, or I really need to get that done. And it often means that things that are important to us, that we would really like to do, just get pushed down the list all the time because of all these things that we feel are so urgent and that we have to give our attention to. And sometimes that's true, there are urgent things that need to be done. But we see with Martha here that she becomes worried and anxious and distracted about all those things. And I was thinking that I felt like there have been less of those distractions perhaps while we've been in lockdown, but as things start to open up more in the next couple of weeks, that I'm sort of thinking, oh, I need to make appointments for haircuts and I need to do this and I need to, well, we can go and see them and all these things. And the busyness and the to-do list can mount up again really easily. In this story, we want to be like Martha because she invites Jesus into her home. But then once Jesus is there, she goes off and gets busy. Now, in the culture, that is absolutely what Martha should have been doing. It was the woman's role to take care of guests. And by that, it meant getting the food ready, preparing bedrooms, making sure everything was where it should be, pulling water up from the well and all those things, making those preparations. So culturally, Martha was doing exactly what she should have been. This was so intrinsically a woman's role that in another story we see where Jesus heals Simon's mother-in-law. He's been really ill in bed with a fever and she's lying in bed with a fever and Jesus goes and heals her and she sits up and she says, I must go and make some food. And so you really see that this is culturally really what the women should have been doing. So Martha is doing what was right and serving, but Jesus gently says to her, that he sees that she is worried and anxious and distracted by many things, and they are not necessary. Gosh, that's a really big thing to hear, isn't it? I wonder sometimes if I stopped and thought, is it really necessary for me to do all this rushing around and things? And it's making me worried and anxious. Is that really, do I really need to do that? Do I really need to do all those things? The word that's translated into distracted in verse 40, I can't say it in the Greek, I apologise. I have it written here, but I can't pronounce it for you. But it has the connotation of being pulled or dragged in different directions. And I think that's often a real thing that we can feel in our lives, like pulled by that and pulled by that. I need to clean the house, but I need to school the kids, and but I need to ring that person, and all these different things. I need to write that report. This sense of being pulled in different directions. That's really what we see with Martha here. She's serving, but she's doing it out of grace, out of anxiety, sorry, and not out of grace. Martha's worry and distraction about what she thought really needed to be done now stopped her from actually being with Jesus. Did you see that? When you invite someone into your house, what they really want is to spend time with you. It's a bit like having Jesus come to our house and getting him settled in the lounge. Oh, Jesus is here, it's really exciting. Wow, Jesus is here, it's really good. And then we run out to the kitchen and we shout back into the lounge, I'll be with you in a minute, Jesus. I'm coming. I'm just going to put the kettle on and just see what we've got for tea. And I might have to pop to the shops. And we run around and I'll be there in a minute. I've just got to make a really urgent phone call. I've really got to finish this bit of work because it has to get done today. And I'll be with you in a minute, Jesus. And it's a bit like that sometimes, where we can invite Jesus in and he's there waiting to spend time with us. But Martha was distracted and she was off doing all these different things because she was so anxious that they all needed to get done. Where's Jesus? He's sat in the lounge and he's waiting for Martha to come and spend time with him. He's like, I've come to your house to spend time with you. And she's worried and she's anxious and she's off doing all these things. Jesus isn't worried about, how clean the bathroom is or what there is for tea. He's just wanting to spend time with Martha and all the others in the house. And then we have Mary. Mary's not worried or anxious. She's ignoring the schedule and the to-do list that Martha's got running on the wall. And Luke describes her very simply as the one who sits at the feet of Jesus. So what do we make of Mary? Martha is outraged that Mary isn't helping. She's absolutely outraged. And I have to admit that I do have some sympathy with Martha in this story. You can understand why she's frustrated, because Mary, as a woman, should have been helping Martha do all the things in the house. But also, Mary, it's not that she doesn't do what she should do. She's also doing something that she shouldn't be doing. In the culture in those days, it was only the boys that got taught and schooled in the Torah, which was the Old Testament, the scriptures that they had. And girls weren't really encouraged to go along to the synagogue all the time in the way that boys were. And as boys grew up, and they could become a student of a teacher. And that was what they would call a disciple. And but it was always the men, and to show that they were the student, the disciple of the teacher, they would sit at their feet and learn from them and listen and try to be like them, to become like their teacher. But Mary, a woman, goes and sits at the feet of Jesus amongst other men. All the disciples are there, but she just sits there because she wants to learn from Jesus. She sits at his feet. The author, John Bloom, says it like this. He says, at that moment, Mary was more enthralled with Jesus than with Mary. I'm just going to say that again. At that moment, Mary was more enthralled with Jesus than with Mary. She cared more about what Jesus said than what others thought of her or her home or her efforts. Isn't that amazing? She was so enthralled with Jesus that she just forgot to be self-conscious about all the things that she had to get done or what other people thought of her. She was just so enthralled with Jesus. And I find that so beautiful and at the same time so challenging, to have a beautiful sense of self-forgetfulness, to just be there with Jesus and focus on him. I think we can find that really difficult because there's so much going on in our lives, and it's easy to be thinking, what will other people think if I don't get this done and I don't do this and I don't do that. And yet Mary gives us this beautiful model here of what it means to be a disciple. And one of the things that it means to be a disciple, it's not the only one, but one of them is to sit at the feet of Jesus. Jesus commends Mary for having chosen the better part. Serving is good. Indeed, it's necessary to our walk with Jesus and to being a disciple. But Jesus says that all those things that Martha was anxious about getting done, and all her worries and worrying, will people think she's done a good job, and will she have everything clean, and will she have everything ready? That those things, they're just not so important. It's not that they're wrong, and it's not that the things that we get worried or anxious about are wrong in any way, and serving is important. But Jesus is saying, but you're all anxious and worried about it because you haven't come and done the better part, which Mary chose to sit at the feet of Jesus. What Mary did was that she chose closeness with Jesus. And another way that we say that sometimes is intimacy. When the passage tells us that she sat at Jesus's feet, it reminds me of when I was a primary school teacher, and I used to teach 5-year-olds. And at the end of the day, when I was going to read a story, I would just invite them all to come and sit on the carpet around me, and I had a little low chair, and there would be this like scramble because everybody wanted to try and be the one that was sitting right next to my feet, or sometimes on my feet and sometimes stroking my feet. And it wasn't because they were really excited about the story. They were, and they did want to learn. But actually it was because there's a relationship there between me and my students, and them, me as their teacher, that they wanted to be right there in the middle of it, and to learn and to listen and to be really close because of relationship. And I think that's what's going on here. Mary is so enthralled with Jesus. She's just desiring that relationship. She says with her body language, I want to be your student. I want to be like you. I want to learn from you. And I think sometimes we can get ourselves too busy and anxious about all the things that get done, that we forget just to be enthralled by Jesus and want to sit at his feet and be close to him and enjoy being his disciple. Joanna Weaver, who wrote a great book called Having a Merry Heart in a Martha World, says this: just as he, that's Jesus, welcomed Mary to sit at his feet in the living room, just as he invited Martha to leave the kitchen for a while and share in the better part, Jesus bids us to come. In obedience to his invitation, we find the key to our longings, the secret to living beyond the daily pressures that would otherwise tear us apart. For as we learn what it means to choose the better part of intimacy with Christ, we begin to be changed. For it is impossible to be in the presence of Jesus and not be changed. So you might say, changed how? I'm not sure I want to change. What does that mean? And just really simply, as disciples of Jesus, we want to get more like Jesus. The student wants to sit at the teacher's feet to learn what they know and to learn from them and be like that and do that. To know Jesus more, to learn to hear him speaking to us more, to learn how to live from him, to become more of who he's made each of us to be. Mary desired to know Jesus and to be more like him, to be close to him, to learn from him and to be his disciple. And she showed that by her choice and by where she sat. Some of us call ourselves task-oriented or doers, and that's not a wrong thing. But we need to hear that intimacy that Mary gains can't be taken away by spending time with Jesus. We can't develop that by being busy like Martha. Busyness by itself breeds distraction, and it's really important that we can put time aside that's not busyness, and it's time with Jesus. Because the world applauds achievements, I don't know if you've noticed that, but the world applauds achievements. We can get caught up in trying to achieve everything, get everything done by the end of the day, make sure everything's sorted, make sure everything's done, be in control of each little thing and keep on top of it all. That's not necessarily wrong, but God isn't looking for achievements. He's not really fussed about achievements at all, because what he's really looking for, what God is looking for, is companionship with us. It's relationship with us. It's our company and our presence with him to grow and to learn from him. Joanna Weaver again points out that to follow Jesus is to serve too. Because we are his children, she says, kitchen service, the doing, will be the natural result of that intimacy time with God. She says, when we put work the busyness, before the worship, the spending time with Jesus, we put the cart before the horse. Both are important. We need the cart and the horse, but the horse has to come first. Otherwise, we end up pulling the cart ourselves. When we spend time in God's presence, when we take time to hear his voice, God provides the horsepower we need to pull the heaviest load. And I love that picture, because sometimes the load can feel really heavy and can feel like we're pulling it in our own strength. And it's because the horse has to come first. And Jesus says, choose the better part. The better part needs to come first. That's the time with him. Jesus' gentle rebuke of Martha, that she needed to not be worried and anxious, and Mary had chosen the better part. It was an act of love to her and to us, because we can all be like Martha at times. And God is calling us to spend time with him because he loves us, because he wants a relationship with us, because it's good for us. And maybe you feel that you've got a heavy load to bear right now, and you don't want to feel like spending time with Jesus is another thing to add to your to-do list. But I want to challenge myself, because I can be like that at times, and all of us, it's not another thing. It's not another to-do list. It's not another load in the cart. It's the horse that has to come first. And, you know, Jesus is there waiting for us in the living room, metaphorically. He's always there waiting for us to come and spend time with him. And that's just such an amazing thought, that he's never got bored and wandered off. That actually he's saying to each of us, I would just love you to come and spend some time with me today. I'd love you to come and be with me and talk with me. To choose the better part, like Mary, it will bring us peace, and it will bring us joy, and it will change us to be more like Jesus. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to hand back to Prit and Tee. Father God, we just thank you so much for Martha and Mary. We thank you that they loved Jesus and they welcomed him into their home. We thank you for the way that Jesus showed us what the better part is. That we need to first come and be with you and know you and be your disciples and learn from you and enjoy closeness with you. Thank you that that is there for each and every one of us, even if we don't even understand what it means, that you, Jesus, just long for us to know you and to have that closeness with you. And we thank you so much for what we've learned this morning. Amen. Just really quickly before Prit and Tee come back, if you need a refresh on what it means or what it looks like to spend time with Jesus, or you've never done that and you have no idea what that means or what that looks like, it's this really great booklet called How to Spend Time with Jesus. It's really thin. It's got lots of lovely tips and pictures and stuff in it. It's really not a long read at all. We've got lots of these and we'd love to send you one, but you can also get it from the Vineyard Churches UK website. It's about £2 or something, and it's just full of really practical tips. If you don't know just what that looks like to spend time with Jesus, this would be a really, really great place to start. Thanks, Prit and Tee.
Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. And I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. Take joy, my King. Take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. Yeah, we love you, Lord. Let's just wait here for a moment. Lord, that is our prayer, that you would take joy in what you hear from us. And Lord, that we would put spending time with you first. We put the horse in front of the cart, Lord. And so right now we just sit at your feet. We love you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hi guys, it's so good to have you this morning, whether it be on Facebook or on Zoom. We are Hemel Vineyard Church, and we're just doing life together as we follow Jesus. If you want to be part of that journey, then feel free to come and join us, whether it be on Zoom, again on Facebook next week, or drop us a line and have a conversation with us. We'd love to hear from you. Another place you can find out what's going on would be to check out our website, which is www.hemelvineyard.org.uk. I pray this week that you would know Jesus' love and his presence with you in whatever you face. See you next week. Bye.